Hey everyone, welcome to the High Performing Woman Talk Show. I am your host, Susan Tregold, and on this show, I focus on female founders and female funders. And today's guest is actually both. She is a trailblazer in women's health and the original Vagipreneur. More on that later. Rachel Braun Scherl is a powerhouse business builder and marketing strategist who spent over 30 years helping major brands and bold startups grow and innovate. She co-founded Semprae Labs, created an entirely new category in women's sexual wellness, and now leads Spark Solutions for Growth, where she helps companies scale at every stage. She's also the best-selling author of Orgasmic Leadership and co-host of the groundbreaking Business of the V podcast. She has been featured on ABC, CNN, and in the New York Times, and is one of the most influential voices shaping the future of women's health. Rachel, welcome. As we dive into the topic of women's health today, please, could you share a bit more about your background, what led you to this area, and what has kept you there?
Hi, Susan. Thank you so much for that very generous and warm introduction. As you've mentioned, I've spent a great deal of my career in the area of women's sexual and reproductive health. And just to level set with some definitions, the way we define women's health right now in the ecosystem is conditions that affect women only, conditions that affect women primarily, and conditions that affect women differently. And over the course of my career, I've had a series of fortunate events that gave me the experience to work building women's businesses, as I say, from the tops of their heads to the tips of their toes. So think hair care to foot fungus. So I've spent a lot of time speaking with women, conducting research, understanding what drives them, understanding how practitioners are making healthcare decisions, understanding what investors are looking for when they're looking to invest in a new opportunity. And about 12 years into that, a venture capitalist handed me a business plan for a product that improved arousal, desire, and satisfaction for women of all ages and life stages. And at the time, there had been 35 active clinical programs focused on how to drive women's desire and arousal. This is post the world with Viagra and the other erectile dysfunction drugs. So given how successful they were, there was a real interest in how can we do the same and build these enormous businesses for women. Many of the clinical programs wound up shutting down for a whole bunch of reasons, but just to summarize, women's sexual response and desire is way more complex a problem to solve or a situation to find a solution for. So most of the clinical programs didn't have compounds or solutions that were working. What was so great when I was introduced to this product, which was called Zestra, was that it improved arousal, desire, and satisfaction for women of all ages and life stages with no drug-drug interactions that had been clinically proven. And so it seemed like a really great opportunity to solve a problem that up until this point did not have a solution. And from a business building perspective, what was so exciting about it, it was like a perfect storm. So here we have this enormous opportunity. 43% of women at some point in their lives have sexual concerns and difficulties. There was no language. At that point, 3 to 5% of obstetricians and gynecologists even talk to their patients about it. Most people were not comfortable having the conversation, whether they were the child or the parent. We have a very big problem in this country as it relates to the quality and the availability of sex education. And so all those factors come together and you have an opportunity to solve a problem and create a conversation. And that's really what was so exciting to me. And so with my business partner of 20 years, we built this company, Semprae Labs, to really be one of the first, or if not the first, in the space to really have clinically demonstrated efficacy around improving desire, feelings of desire, improving arousal, feelings of arousal, and improving the experience of satisfaction. So it was incredibly exciting. And it was that experience, building that company and selling that company, that made it a no-brainer for me to continue in that space. Turns out I love talking about this stuff. I'm not the least bit bashful. I like creating the conversations. I like moving things forward. I'm perfectly comfortable making conversations that other people find uncomfortable, making them accessible. And that's why ever since that first experience, I've stayed in the space very, very happily, working with companies, doing research, co-hosting a podcast, and really continuing to drive the conversation.